It made someone mad. it, made, it made someone mad. Somebody was made mad by that stream. I don't know. Hold on. I gotta like find this out. Studio. I gotta go to YouTube Studio to check and see what's going on. Analytics. It should just like straight up tell me. But they haven't sent anything to me. Oh, look. Copyright. Ah. Copyright. I guess because, yeah, Jubilee. Okay. All of Jubilee's stuff is like highly copyrighted. Okay. That's kind of silly though. That is kind of silly. Ultimately though, what we kind of learned is kind of learned that some people are just kind of silly. Some people are just kind of goofy. They don't think, right? They don't think before they talk about stuff. It just kind of happens. Yeah, there's I don't really think anything was violated aside from like the fact that there was a match in the copyright, right? But yeah. You should find me something else to look at. I'm bored. We can go over stuff together. Ah, God. It's been a minute since I've done any actual like journalism. Is that what we call it? We call crisis on things journalism. Dear Lord. Also, video streaming is fucking tweaking. What do you mean? Is it still fucked up? No way. No, I'm watching it right now. It looks fine. Am I still? No way. No way. Am I still like... Hello? This should be like a separate stream. Hold on. There's a new stream. Bina versus Gojo. YouTube streaming is kind of cooked. It's not an outage. It's I definitely got the stream itself got suspended. What timestamp is this? This is 12:05, 12:06. Is that what y'all want to look at? You really want to look at fucking Bina versus Gojo? You don't want to look at anything, you know, anything real life right now? I feel like we're having a good time. We can look at some other stuff. No, see, because Jubilee's cringe. What would piss me off? I don't know. You'd have to figure that out, dog. I'm not, like, I don't get pissed off. I don't get angry. Like, I really don't get angry unless it's, like, something, like... the only thing I get angry at is, like, incompetence, right? It's, like, the only thing. Oh, it looks like fucking Andrew Wilson is live right now. It'd be funny, live streaming a live stream. I guess you guys can look at the screen with me. Can like find this out. Oh, that's a thing you guys probably shouldn't look at. Hold on. Not that there's anything bad in that, but it was still like semi-private. Oh no, I'm gonna get emails now. Fuck. Gonna get emails. Shit. Cooked, chat. Now you guys know where to email me. Fuck. There we go. We can look at all the random fucking bullshit that I get on my thing all together. None of this is indicative of me, by the way. Fucking, my YouTube algorithm is actually fucked. Like, I would literally never watch this. Or this, actually. That, like, all of this shit is weird. I don't know. There's like just not. There's not a whole bunch. Not a whole bunch in the world right now, right? Yeah, mine is just random. Look at fucking Jubilee trying to get me to fucking get copyrighted again. Love those guys. Those guys are great. Nah, you guys gotta give me like something, bro. There's gotta be something interesting to watch. Y'all gotta hit me up with some polarizing shit that isn't Jubilee. That isn't Jubilee. Milkshake Man, bro. Look, okay, look. I'm kind of in a mood to like talk about like real life right now. Like, I don't know how much I necessarily want to get into power scaling at the moment. Y'all want to learn finance with me real quick? It's like the only thing I've like pay attention to on my fucking feed. You aren't supposed to think for yourself? Yeah, you're right. As a streamer, you're probably correct. But here's the thing though, I'm like horrible at fucking streaming. If I was actually decent at streaming, we'd have like more than fucking 10 people a night, you know? Like, I'm glad I have my community, but like I'm really bad at building a community. I don't advertise at all. Holy fuck. Hajime no Ippo watch party? That actually might go fucking hard. Every time I try to get into Hajime no Ippo, I watch it up to a certain point and then I stop. I don't think I've ever watched the whole thing. The Coffin of Andy and Lele? You know what? At this point, I only watch it for the story. Like, I'm just trying to see, like, what happens. I could not give a fuck about, like, the actual gameplay at all. That shit is ridiculous, dude. It's, like, actually ridiculous. There's, like, fucking nothing. There's, like, fucking nothing tonight. Yeah, cave diving jump scare. I don't see, like, my fucking shit is, like, random, bro. Like, random. Like, I've never watched this. I've never watched literally any of this. Help. Am I the only one having the stream buffer a little like every 40 seconds? Apparently YouTube is kind of down-ish. Down-ish kind of right now. Right? Y'all trying to watch 50 minutes of public crash outs? We can do that. Until somebody finds something for me to watch, we're going to be watching crash outs.
I'm sorry, bro. I just came hurt. We haven't even gotten out of the car. You're not gonna give me a ticket. I already wrote it, bro. I can't undo it. I just fucking parked, you idiot. Are you fucking kidding me? I'm an idiot? Yeah, I do, actually. I'm gonna pay the thing. I haven't even gotten out of the fucking car. Yeah, but you didn't pay it yet. We just parked. You want me to pay when I'm driving? Are you f***ing crazy? You didn't pay them. We haven't gotten out of the car. Well, you didn't pay. We just pulled out.
Nah, this guy's actually an insane rage baiter, bro. This guy's actually an insane fucking instigator. Holy shit.
I just parked. I'm paying right now on Park Mobile.
This is like a master class in rage bait.
You just pulled up. That's what the passenger's for. I'm sorry. Take it up with philippark.org. Nah, I'm just playing. Oh my god. We're on a YouTube video. You're f***ing kidding me. Hey, my man, you 21? That's an ID. Can you do a 360 for me? I'm not gonna lie, bro.
Nah, this nigga's boring, low key. This guy's boring as shit, chat. I wouldn't put you guys through that, don't worry.
Okay.
Yeah? Yes?
Yeah, let him know who you are.
Dear God, bro.
I brought you a treat.
Oh, thank you.
Do you know what it is?
Strawberries. It's almost as if it's made of glass and I can see through it. Bro.
Chow now.
Okay.
Wait, is Chowder named Chowder because he eats a lot? Like he chows down? What does Chowder mean?
Chowder is a food.
Really?
It's named after a food.
What dish is that? Can you look it up for us?
Chowder is... It's a food. It's a food. It's,
That looks white AF.
it is white as hell, yeah.
What is it?
I don't
This-
know. I have no idea.
I see bacon and corn and potatoes with
Yep.
water.
It's about as much as I'm willing to do that. I'm not saying watch it, but you should check out the official Gordon Ramsay Kitchen Nightmares. Actually, I have actually watched. Generally has clams and fish, apparently. Yeah, no. Fits in being sea-based, I guess. No, yeah, I've watched Kitchen Nightmares. I've watched Kitchen Nightmares. That would most certainly get us suspended. That would definitely be copyrighted, for sure. Yeah, I can do it, babe. Okay.
Act like how you act off camera.
Shut up. Stop the clap, bro.
I took him in.
Oh my god.
Oh! They're sour.
I think they're just like not ripe yet.
Yeah. You're welcome.
Thank you.
You're not gonna pay me?
You want to be a Muppet?
Yeah?
Yeah.
Can you
Okay.
use something besides your hand though?
No.
Something else.
No. It's gonna be my hand. Okay.
You're such a pig.
It says the one who wants to be a Muppet.
Not with your hand.
What is that even supposed to mean? Dear God. Death Note was fire? Yeah, Death Note was fire. Come on, team. There's gotta be something out here. Y'all trying to watch out how to ask a girl over text? I have no idea who the hell this guy is.
Watch it!
Nope, see, now my girlfriend's interested. We can't watch it, guys. Sorry.
You're mean.
Sorry, guys. The stream's not for her. It's like specifically anti-girlfriend stream. If your girlfriend's in the room with you guys, I'm sorry. Can't watch anymore. Gotta go ahead and turn off the stream. No, actually don't. Just like turn off your desktop monitor, I guess.
Why?
That way I still get the view.
Why are you mean?
Faith on Holy Trinity was fucking peak. I'm not actually mean. This guy was not the victim, dog. This guy was not the victim. I don't care how you fucking portray him. He was not the fucking victim. I think I dropped one of the strawberries. Such is the life of suffering. Huh? Mwah. Mwah. Guys, is there like actually fucking nothing? Is there like literally nothing?
How to kill?
It's a fuck. Swear I remember getting these like fire debate videos, but I can't find them anymore. Yeah, this is fucking crazy. What was like the last good debate though? Like. Yeah, no, like I don't know. I couldn't tell you when the last actually decent debate video came out. Yeah, I have no idea, dude. Ev, what do you like, bro?
Yes?
You're like all over the desk, dude.
What? I'm next to you.
Yeah. You should be on my hand. Being paraded around. Hold on. This is fucking funny. Vosh said the most bad faith debate. Oh my god, this is that debate? Oh my gosh. No, I actually watched this debate. Vosh is oh my god. I can't. Opposition claimed that word, bro, but just know, this is your debate server you joined active? The one I made or the one I joined? Because the one I joined is active, but the quality of debaters there, like if you're gonna debate people on like IRL topics, it's not the greatest, right? Bro, I want to watch this, but I refuse to give Vosh the view. We can rewatch it. Vosh versus Andrew Wilson. This was like the fucking worst debate I've ever seen. This shit was so fucking trash. This shit was so trash. I literally could not get through the whole thing. I got through like half. Got through like fucking half.
What's up, guys? We are live. So we've been an epic debate for you today. As fun as it is to watch Andrew dunk on some bimbo, this is going to be actually very, very, I think, intense intellectual discussion. We got two people who are both extremely good at debating, competing against each other. And where they're going to be talking about, well, say the prompt again, Andrew.
This was Christian nationalism against libertarian communism.
Yeah, so that should be fun. So let me quickly explain my role for, well, I think Andrew, you kind of know how I do.
Hang on real quick, Alex. I just want to clarify that the Bosch doesn't have an actual issue with the prompt.
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
Okay, cool. Alright, so anyway, for anyone who's new to the channel, I'm going to explain what I'm going to do. I'm modding, so that means that I'm not getting involved in debate. Doesn't mean I agree or disagree with someone. I will only get involved under three circumstances. Number one, someone's being interrupted so much that they can't get a word out.
This is actually funny because this happens a lot and he just doesn't do anything about it.
I'm going to use my discretion when it comes to that, whether I should or should not. Number two, someone refuses to answer a direct question. And number three, someone is derailing the conversation to such an extent that I feel like it's not relevant to the initial prompt. Those are the only times I'll get involved. Hopefully I won't even have to talk much during this debate, and debaters will have at it. So Andrew kindly asked to do 7-minute opening statements, and I think that's fair. So we'll start off with 7-minute opening statements. I think, Andrew, since you were the initiator, you should do your opening statement first.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, so I just...
Can we just talk about what, like, how he looks like the fucking walnut from Plants vs. Zombies? I just wanted to... Am I suspended again? Am I suspended again? There's no way. There's literally no way. No, not yet? Okay, cool. I was like, no way, no fucking shot, bro. I was like, no way.
Audio okay now? You guys
Yeah, you're good.
out in the chat. Well, not to you guys. Hang on, I'm just asking my chat.
Yeah. So the last one with the fucking the anti-vaxxers, it got suspended for copyright because fucking Jubilee treats their shit like a TV show instead of a fucking YouTube video that people can critique, right? They just copyright it instead.
Okay. Vosh, I won't take the entire 7 minutes. I'm sure you won't either before we get into the back and forth. But first, I appreciate Vosh taking the time to have this debate with me, the audience of both Alex, PWF, and the audience of Crucible for coming out tonight as we have this debate. The topic tonight is Christian nationalism versus libertarian communism. I understand Vosh likely has many criticisms of Christian nationalism, though I think most of them will be directed at other people's advocation.
Fucking love fruit, actually.
To define Christian nationalism simply, it is the operation of a synergy between the church and the state. Such a synergy can be operated either under the confines of the church acting as the state or as the church being a division of it in some way. This could operate as an advisory role, which in many ways it does now anyway, or as a division of the state itself with separate guidelines from that of the secular nation, or it could have similarities to the secular nation. This idea is in no way radical. To this day, there are many nations who operate under these guidelines through religion, though I would argue with the wrong religion. And at the time, though ultimately buckling, some of them lasted well over 1,000 years. No current product of any Western nation is going to do that. Remember in the course of this debate that Vosh is at the mercy of the same criticisms he may levy at the idea of Christian nationalism. In many ways, he is more at the mercy of his own criticisms than I am, as the examples of communism we have are less than ideal, and he envisions a radical parting from those systems, yet historically those systems are all we can point to. Under my own system, however, we can point to nations which have prospered, persevered, and ultimately created mostly happy and healthy populations. A return to patriarchy is the order of the day. The way that we would achieve this is the same way the communists and feminists achieved their subversive goal of their attempted annihilation of Christianity, which is still ongoing, and that key is through the demographic shift via birth rates. The religious have a lot of children, and the non-religious don't. The future essentially is ours. My plan for such a system is no different than Vosh's in execution. Over the next 100 years, we Christians establish our values into our children and direct them to begin to take over the institutions. This seems like a laughable proposition, except that's exactly what...
Allow me to define nationalism as a principle rather than a government style. Nationalism is kind of like a synonym to patriotism, where you are just really fucking about your country, right? Like you really like your country, you really fuck with your country, and you would do a lot of shit to protect your country. That is essentially nationalism. Like if I were to say, I'm an American and I'm proud of being an American. Well, that's a nationalistic take because I am for my own nation. That is nationalism. It's not right or left wing to be a nationalist, although you see a lot of people say it's either right or left wing. Never really understood why it would be either liberal or conservative to value your country. Like I don't classify it under that. That's a really weird take to me, at least.
What the Marxists and feminists did. It took them about 150 years or so to accomplish it. We can do exactly the same thing. In fact, we can probably do it in about 100 years. Our job external to that is just to slow the progressive machine down any way we can until age claims its advocates. Obviously, I have a lot more to say on this topic, and we get into the debate, and culture informs politics. And with that, I'll cede the rest of my time over to Vosh, and hopefully we can get into this thing.
Cool. Vosh, you got 7 minutes. You can use as much of that as you want. Have at it, buddy.
Gotcha. Yeah, I noted absence of that.
I can't get over this guy's face. And I'm really sorry. If he ever ends up seeing this, I don't mean this in any sort of way that's disrespectful. It just doesn't vibe with me. I don't know.
From Andrew was either a description of what the problems are with modern society, or
He's arguing for libertarian communism, which, if I recall, I could be incorrect with this, but if I recall, libertarian is an economic style that is mostly laissez-faire. Hold on, let me check and see if that's correct. Libertarian economic style. Freedom, personal sovereignty, and liberty as primary values. Decreasing national debt, allowing people to opt out of Social Security, eliminating welfare, part by utilizing private charities. It's very laissez-faire. Libertarians are super capitalists. Yeah. That's like, it's actually really fucking like idiosyncratic to say like libertarian communism. Like that's not really a thing. Like that's not, it doesn't make sense to say that. Like you wouldn't say libertarian communist because they're two completely different things. Like communism is the idea of like sharing. It's a principle of shared assets and ownership. And then you have libertarianism, which is super free market. I don't know what that means. Like, what would that even come out to in the end?
or how his proposed solutions would fix any of it. The problem that I have is that ultimately it feels like this is always a vibes thing, which is ironically very feminine and not at all.
Wow,
representation
that's...
of patriarchy.
Hold on, I gotta address that. You argued with someone who was a communist, and they said Stalin couldn't have been a... I can't say that word because of TOS. There were more people being made than killed. That has to be an actually awful way of thinking. That's, like, terrifying.
The idea that there's something wrong with society and the best way to address it is to return with a V, just gesturing at, well, civilization lasted, ignoring the fact, of course, that Christian civilization and history has been a non-stop shit pit where countries obliterate each other, ethnic and ideological and linguistic and religious divides shift constantly, just non-stop war. I mean, if you want to point towards longevity of civilization, I mean, go look at China. I mean, that's probably the best example we have of real.
Yeah, but see, here's the thing. When you talk about trade, right, you're talking about private institutions, because governments don't often trade with each other. It's mostly private institutions. To point out a really clear example, like SpaceX, NASA, these aren't government agencies per se. They are privately owned, and yet they are the ones importing and exporting. It's not necessarily the government. So in order for the trade to be libertarian, you would still have to have some level of like free market in general, which is anti-communist. It's just a really weird take.
Christianity, of course, not being a primary force in stability, except for the extent to which it destabilized it in the 1800s. In truth, what makes a nation last or does not is A, complicated, and B, not of interest to Andrew. His interest in these subjects, patriarchy.
Yeah. As soon as he said that, bro, I knew somebody was gonna take question to that. Yeah, God. Christianity is not a stabilizer. Yeah, no, like religion is very much a stabilizer for all intents and purposes. People that have done crazy fucked up shit have turned to their own form of God and have become much better much better people. And also, yeah, like you're saying, if you have a group of people that believe in the same ideology, it's going to stabilize them as a culture, as a group. Now, what Vosh is most likely pointing to is the obvious, the Crusades, right? The issue with the Crusades, though, is that was Catholicism and wasn't necessarily all of Christianity being in on that. And let's for the sake of argument, let's say it was, right? They were fighting against like, I want to say they were going against a specific group. I don't recall the fucking details of the Crusades, but there was like a reason behind it. They weren't just like going out and fucking shit up. Like that wasn't the case.
But none of this really means anything. What matters is how do we build the best life possible for the greatest number of people? And I think.
Isn't that what everyone's arguing about though? That's like a non-point. For him to say we're arguing for like the greatest life for the most amount of people, yeah, that's like no one's in contention of that like at all.
Of course, libertarian socialism proposes many excellent solutions when it comes to.
Okay, so he doesn't want libertarian communism. He wants libertarian socialism. Let me see what the fuck that means. Hold on. Anti-authoritarian, anti-capitalist. But libertarianism is capitalist. So what the fuck does that even mean? What is that, bro? What does that mean? Self-organization and direct action as means to engage in class conflict. What does that fucking mean, though? Like, what does that actually mean? Workers' self-management. What does... Yeah, I'm an employee. I guess I'm like my own manager. What does this mean? State ownership? Okay, cool. The government doesn't own anything. That's fair, I guess. And okay, so the government... This is ridiculous. The government doesn't own anything. The people don't own anything, so you just don't own shit. It's anarchism and Marxism. This is like the worst. This is like the worst. He's actually arguing for like straight up degeneracy. What? They want to be an anarcho socialist. That's fucking crazy. That's fucking crazy. Wow. How can you look at this and say, yeah, this is a great idea? This is a great idea. Nobody owns shit. Nobody has the rights to anything. You just exist. You just exist. You don't have the rights to anything. Wow. How the fuck can you say this is a good thing? What?
The problems we have with modern life. Religion does not. Religion does not improve anything. It does not fix our problems. It does not make our cities more walkable. It does not address income inequality. It doesn't do anything except give people a feeling that there is meaning where there is none. I think we should construct our own meaning in a willful manner rather than ceding it entirely to imagined higher forces.
All right. This is the open segment part, so you guys...
Pause. Yes, it's paused funds. What is it? I can't pause it every time you ask me to pause, by the way. You gotta be selective with your pausing, because I'll only give you like 2 more. Also, having a better opinion than someone else doesn't mean you can beat them in a debate. Let me put it to you that way. It's very easy to lose a debate. There's no way this guy says religion doesn't benefit society. You know, he said that. Yeah, he said that.
Yeah, so Bosch, let's start with your religion doesn't improve anything. And yet as we look at the happiness indexes of the people who are the most religious, they seem to be the most happy. They're also having the most children. They're also divorcing the least. They seem to, out of all the metrics, have the least amount of mental illness. How could you possibly, with a straight face, make the claim that religion doesn't improve anything? All of your positions are material in nature, and they don't seem to work that well. They don't seem to answer questions.
Right off the bat, we see the analytical issues. First of all, tracking this onto the number of babies had. Historically, the most babies humans have had been during pre-modern medieval periods where women were pumping out 11 kids, half them would die in the fields. The number of children you have has nothing to do with how happy you are. Likewise with divorces and marriages. Again, we would have to argue then that the happiest marriages must have necessarily been in the ones in, I don't know, England prior to Henry VIII. You would point back to some time where it was illegal to divorce. These aren't real metrics of happiness. People in general are getting less happy. That is absolutely the case. Why not?
So hold on, actually, Vosh is defeating his own argument here. Since America, and I'm sure they're arguing for Americanism, that's not a word. They're arguing in regards to the United States, right? So we have no-fault divorce. We have no-fault divorce, right? So that essentially means that a man or woman can leave a marriage for no reason. I don't necessarily agree with that, but ultimately we do have it, right? So if we do have it, and religious people are still getting divorced the least, that would mean that they have some incentive to stay in their marriage, whether that be for religious reasons or because they're just more happy in their relationship. But either one of those things is going to come back and bite Vosh in the ass because people have the choice to leave now. It's not like before where you couldn't leave without some kind of fault. People have that choice now. So for Volt to say, Jesus Christ, dude, I'm so tired. For Vosh to say that this isn't a metric of happiness, I think is not necessarily true.
The religious seem to be less so via self-reporting, and the religious are having the most amount of children. And I have the stats here. If you'd like to review them, I can show this to you and demonstrate it to you. Pew Research has been following this very closely for a number of years, and their indexes seem to be quite good. And yet your materialist outlook seems to claim that libertarian socialism, materialism will save you, and yet we're closer to that worldview than...
See, here's the funny part. Libertarian socialism, they keep talking about it like being materialist, but you don't own shit. You don't own shit. We literally just looked it up. Like, you don't own anything in that kind of society.
ever, and yet mental illness and all of these factors which lead to unhappiness is higher than ever.
We've only
Least of
began
all with the religious.
tracking. So first of all, as I established, birth rates are irrelevant to this discussion if we're talking about happiness. Second of all, mental illness as well. We've only started tracking mental illness in a meaningful way in the past couple of decades. So this is another factor which you can't reasonably tie to a lack of religiosity. In fact, if you go to our insane asylums and people with severe mental illness issues, you'll find plenty of people there who are deeply religious. The idea that mental illness tracks perfectly onto, or even remotely, onto a lack of religiosity is just absolutely not the case.
Well, how
The
can you
problem
make
here-
that claim? That actually makes no sense. You say birth rates can't be tied to happiness, and yet if you have children,
Oh, sorry, wait, do
how
you
could
think-
you possibly say that birth rates wouldn't track onto that? Of course
Do you-
they would.
Do you think people were like at their happiest in India in like 1880 when the average number of children had by every mother was like 8 or 9 at a time
Yeah,
during
but
desperate
this is
poverty?
this is
no,
red,
I'm asking.
yeah, this is a
like-
red herring. It has nothing to
No,
do
no, no.
with
Wait,
anything.
answer the question. If you
I
think
have
that
no
birth
idea.
rates
I
are-
don't think it's relevant. I have
Okay,
no idea.
I think that birth rates do not track perfectly onto happiness. In fact, I don't think there's any
Yeah, but that
relation
wasn't my
between
claim,
them at all.
bro. That
you
really
made the
was
claim
not my
that
claim.
higher birth rates are indicative of greater happiness. and I
No,
just don't
my
think
no,
it is.
no. My claim, just so that you don't straw man it, is that
Okay.
women who have children seem to be happier than women who do not have children.
3 dudes talking about birth rates when they aren't even the ones birthing the children. I mean, I guess, yeah. Look, ultimately, like, if this was a debate about like female bodily autonomy, I would have the same sentiment. I think it's okay for them to discuss it in the context of people being happy, right? Like having kids making people happy. I think that's a fine discussion to have. Now, if this was like a women's rights for like abortion or something, then yeah, it becomes kind of dicey. But everyone has their own opinions on it, right? It's all everyone has their own opinions.
When you look at the birth rate, of course that's going to map onto that, as women are the ones who have the children. So obviously if they're happier, they're going to have more children, and as mothers they're going to have more children. At least
Do you
this
think
is what the
maybe,
Pew research shows.
Do you think there might be a confounding variable there? Like maybe the economic stability which allows people to have children might make people, happier?
Then why are the poorest people having the most of them?
because poorer people sometimes are happier, and sometimes they have more children. Or
And what would
maybe,
make
as
a
my
poorer
as for my
person
argument,
happier?
maybe there isn't a strong relationship between how many children you're
Right.
having and how happy you are.
So what would make poorer people happier than people with all of this materialism? That's really weird, Vosh.
I didn't say that. I was indicating that I think this is an argument in favor of my point. I just don't think these two statistics track onto each other very well. And
Well,
I don't think you do either, frankly. I think that the reality that when we talk about like what makes people unhappy or what problems we can solve socially, the actual like fabric of a person's mental wellness is so complicated and so multivariate that I would immediately distrust anyone who tried to reduce it to a single variable. I'm more interested in.
We're not.
That's not why I paused it. Having children irreparably damages your body. Yep. Yeah, no, that's just true. That's just true.
Hang on. We're not reducing anything to a single variable. That's one. Okay. Nobody said the issue is not multifaceted. However, for you to make kind of this bold claim and gloss it over, when you're pinned down on the fact that the people who are the poorest, they seem to be the happiest or the happiest. At least that's what your claim just was a second ago.
No, I
So
didn't
if
make-
that's true, then obviously it must be something other than materialism, which is causing them to be happier. What would you say that is, Bosch?
I didn't make that claim. I said
you
that there
did.
are plenty of no. I said maybe it's this, maybe it's that, maybe it's this, as ways of indicating that I don't feel there's a strong track between birth rates and happiness. Birth rates are higher in many parts of the world that are a lot poorer and less happy than the United States. In the United States, it is absolutely the case that poor people tend to have more children. There's also a racial or ethnic element to that as well. But this isn't a perfect one-to-one track. For instance, rural areas where the cities are drying up and dying, there are people who have lots of kids, sure, but they're not happy. I mean, we make, I guess sort of reductive comments about white trash families, and I don't think that's fair, but it is certainly the case that, there are plenty of households out there where you have both many children and not a lot of happiness.
Well,
I
then
just
this is
think
another
it's too
problem with the
complicated.
materialist worldview, Vosh. When you make this kind of bold claim, don't you think that economics really has a lot to do with whether or not people are having children? And then you cite that the poorest people are having the most amount of children, right? This is a very strange argument from you. So I'm hoping
No.
that you can qualify this and make this make sense to me.
I don't think anything that I said there doesn't make sense. The characteristics that
Okay, I think I know what Andrew's saying. So essentially, Vosh is saying that from a libertarian socialist point of view, right? His whole like thing is like people should have more stuff or whatever. He's saying that the people with less tend to have more kids and be happier. And Andrew's saying, well, you can't have both of those ideologies at the same time because they don't map onto one another. If it was true that libertarian socialism would be beneficial, then people would have more stuff and that would make them more happy. But Vosh is simultaneously saying that people that have less stuff are more happy. So I think that's what Andrew's getting at. And it does kind of look bad for Vosh in that sense.
lead a person to have a lot of children are incredibly complicated. I mean, if you want a full rundown, it correlates more often to people who are poorer, I imagine, because people who are poorer often have a harder time with regards to family planning and management. They also have less strict life plans when it comes to their own career.
They're
Poor
also
people
more
who bounce
religious.
around, sometimes, but
Most
that
of the
doesn't.
time.
But they're not the happiest. In fact, there's a very large degree of opioid addiction and unhappiness in highly religious rural communities with lots of children. So
There's also a super high rate of opioid dependence in metropolitan cities that are not religious. What's his point?
it's almost like your attempt to reduce these variables to some kind of simple correlative line doesn't actually work when you look at the material reality.
It's also true.
Well, first of all, backing up, you and I have both agreed already that it's multifaceted, right? I'll agree that that's true, but that doesn't mean that some variables aren't far more important than others, which is
Are you talking about which one are you talking about, Elaine?
why you cited an economic variable to begin with. Moving into this, when you're talking about this portion of the topic, which is birth rates, which have become absolutely disastrous everywhere, not just in the West, but globally. This was all due to anti-natalist campaigning from
Wait,
leftists.
what's disastrous about our birth rates?
They're in free fall collapse, Bosch.
They've lowered, as they have in every industrialized country.
No, in all countries. Almost all countries everywhere, with the exception of a few African nations.
Alex's
and Middle Eastern
camera.
nations, and those are dropping off quickly. Too.
Yes, industrialized countries produce fewer children because you no longer need 8 little tykes to run the farm, of course.
Well, no, that's not the only reason that we have a collapse in birth rate. It's because women are getting married older instead of younger. Now, you could make
They
the
get an
argument.
education.
Well, you could make the argument that this is due to, better family planning or something like this, I suppose. But still,
But I think both of them have said that at least
you want
once.
to keep your population high, thus keeping your economy good. In all nations on planet Earth, you can't just shift around people who don't exist because the birth rate's lower everywhere.
Our
How do you
populations
plan?
are still growing.
No, they're actually plateauing quickly. And
Right.
the last UN report showed that, but the most modern UN report on population demographics, which I have in front of me, show that it's much more catastrophic than the UN previously predicted, citing that China and this.
Oh yeah, no, fuck whatever they're talking about. Did y'all know that South Korea won't exist in like 60 years because the birth rate is already past the point of no return? That's fucking scary, bro. Like, that's like real. Like, we're already getting to a point where some societies just are not. Like, they're just not going to exist anymore. Like, it's not even like a matter of like whether or not people should be having kids. Like, it's already literally going to be like the countries are collapsing. Like, it's already started. It's fucking crazy. I think that's like such a scary thing. Humanity is just not going to exist because people aren't having kids.
Came in from a study from.
Quick, Dippy, we need to go and let me not say that you have a girlfriend, and so do I. Somebody needs to go and impregnate very many Southern Korean women consensually. That's what needs to happen in order for South Korea to continue, I guess. I don't know.
Sorry, it's on Forbes. I can link it
China's
over to you.
situation is specific to the one-child policy. I think that was very dumb of the CCP.
Yeah, you're actually correct, Funds, and a lot of the reasons why people aren't having kids is because there's such a big divide of opinions between male and females. It's a very scary thing currently. To be clear, it also doesn't help that it's so fucking hard to have a life in Korea. That's also true. Yeah, no, I've seen plenty of videos on like Asian culture. They have really difficult lives.
They're talking about a 500 million reduction in the Chinese population, potentially by 2050, 2060. That's right around the corner. That's
Okay.
a massive population reduction. Japan, within 200 years, is actually slated to not exist. It's not. It's slated
South
to
Korea
not
in
exist.
60, bro.
So is
60.
the world population growing or decreasing right now?
Right now, it's plateauing.
The world population, as I understand it, is still growing at a decent
Yes,
clip.
but it's
it went
going-
from 6
but it's
billion to 8
plateauing.
billion. Just
Yes.
Sure, that's fine. We have a finite
And then
amount
it
of
free
space.
falls. And then it's projected to free fall by every UN analyst and by every scientific metric that you can
The
possibly
lack
look
of
at.
birth
Just
rate
look
is
at
because
this.
of the
It's expected.
incompatibility, unwillingness to communicate and provide the foundations for a better future, and overall disregard for consideration of basic human principles, which is also fair. Yeah, no, it's definitely an unwillingness to communicate on both ends. I am not the type of person to sit here and say that it's like right or left, male or female. People aren't willing to sit down and have conversations that are uncomfortable, and it's causing a lot of issues. A lot of world problems could be solved by people having this thickness of skin to go through a difficult conversation that may just need to be had in order to save the world. And a lot of people are refusing to do that because it's uncomfortable and hurts their feelings. And it's sad. It's sad. A lot of people will die because of it. 60 doesn't seem like much until you realize I'll be there to watch it. Exactly. Yes, South Korea is also very misogynistic. This is true.
Free fall and possibly stabilize at 6 billion in the next 150 years to 200 years. But the
I don't
estimates.
think-
Here, I'll-
What UN analyst? Yeah, I'd like to see that. Also, assuming that's the case, okay. I mean, it can't grow forever. Like, let's presume that information is accurate. If that seems fine. I mean, what should we have? 10, 12, 15?
Well,
Yeah,
so here's
that's
why
how it goes. My feelings get hurt, so I
get
get up and leave. My feelings get hurt, so I hit someone in the face. My feelings get hurt, I drop a nuke. I mean, that's how people act.
All over the African nations and India in order to reduce the
yeah.
populations of those nations significantly. It turns out that was very problematic because, as it turns out, the more people you have, the more work.
I just want to make this very clear. Like, no matter how much I harp on, like, women or even men as, like, a joke, both sides are definitely at fault for a lot of fuck shit. Like, both sides are fucking completely evil for the most part, the vast majority of human beings, which I think is fine. I think human beings to a degree by nature are evil. That being said, if people were just honest about the fact that they were evil, I feel like a lot of things.
Increase in population. There's more global food production, the ability to deliver this food globally.
No, you're definitely evil. And I'll prove it to you. I can prove that you're evil. I can prove that everyone's evil. There's a grandma that is walking across the street. And she's like carrying something and she's walking on a crosswalk. Do you try to help her cross the street, yes or no? Just answer the question.
Yes.
Not you. Just answer the question.
Are you
It's a
debating?
very simple question, no. Everyone's free to answer, by the way. To be honest, no. If we were taking into account how far we are and stuff, yes, I would. Okay. If you answered no, you're honest about being evil. If you answered yes, you did it because part of you wants to feel good for helping others, which is just self-servicing your own ego, right, and being good and helping others. So you're still evil. You're still only in it for your own self-benefit. Either, like, no matter what your answer was, you were evil, right? Because it's all about self-satisfaction at the end of the day. People don't help each other for the sake of helping each other. They help each other to feel good about helping each other. And that's selfish. It's just selfish. You can be actually nice. That doesn't make it any less selfish. You're doing it to feel good about yourself. That's just the truth. If I give a homeless guy $10 on the street, right, I'm not doing it because I'm like, God came down and told me to give him $10. I gave him $10 because I wanted to feel good about the fact that I'm helping someone else. What's up?
What about someone you love? Like, whenever you love somebody and, like...
Love is love is still a self-fulfilling emotion. It exists for the sole purpose of making you feel good. Right? It's everything you will ever do is to service yourself.
I just wanted to say, with you, some things, I do them because I love you, and, like, it comes from my heart to do this for you.
Yes, and you feel good about it, right?
Well, I do it because I'm like, I want to make him feel a certain type of way, like a good emotion.
Right?
Like, I want you to feel a good emotion.
Yes, and because of that, right, when I feel that good emotion, you also feel a good emotion, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Yep, so it's self-sufficient. Everything is self-sufficient. None of this changes depending on any factor.
So
Any
that makes
factor
us
you could
evil?
give us. Yep. By definition, right?
What's the definition?
Let me grab it. Let's grab the definition of evil. Hold on. So this is the fucking Oxford. This is Oxford's definition of evil, which is to be profoundly immoral or wicked, which is just, those are both synonyms of, they're just synonyms, right?
Okay, then how is that?
So when you're talking about
What definition are
immoral,
you using?
yeah, when you're talking about immorality, you're talking about not conforming to accepted standards of morality. Would you consider being selfish to be immoral? Right? Like I have a cookie, I don't want to give it to you. Would you say that's kind of like immoral?
I guess, but what if
Yeah.
I have a cookie and you don't have one? Because I love you, I give you a cookie. So I'm kind of sacrificing myself for you.
Okay, but it's still
That's
selfish.
How is it selfish?
Once again, you're doing it to feel good. Right? No matter what, it's still selfish, and as you said, being selfish would be considered immoral, and by that definition, we'd also consider it to be evil.
Okay, well, you answered what I was going to ask you.
Mm-hmm.
So anything that you consider selfish, then you would say it's immoral, and then therefore you're evil.
Correct.
So there's no way anybody's not evil by your argument.
That's right, yeah. Everybody to some extent is evil, yes.
Then say babies are evil.
Well, they don't have concepts of morality, so no. Right? So why, like, in the Bible, you would say, like, babies are devoid of sin because they can't sin. They have no knowledge of sin. Right? You can't sin without knowing that it's a sin.
But I mean, wouldn't you be able to say, like, I don't feel strong about this, by the way,
No, go ahead.
but like, babies, they just, like, whatever they feel, they'll express it, and they want it to be fixed. Like, if they're hungry, they'll cry. I mean, crying is their only form of communication, but
Mm-hmm.
if something's going on, they cry, they let you know, and they don't stop crying until it gets fixed.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you say that's kind of selfish?
They have no knowledge of what that is, right? No one told them that that was selfish, and even if they did tell a baby that it was selfish, the baby can't understand what you said, right?
Baby can't.
Yeah. So you
Babies
can't make the argument for like a non-sentient being selfish. It's just not possible.
So not babies, but kids, and
I
let's
wouldn't
say
say
have
that
moral
either.
conscience.
I wouldn't say that either.
But then they do know right from wrong.
To some extent. Did my stream go off again?
You're yapping too much.
No, I don't think so. No, I'm still live. My YouTube was killing itself on my phone, I guess. No, let me get to the chats. Off topic, I'd rather give a homeless person like a $20 thing of food instead of $10. Yeah, sure.
Yep.
A lot of homeless people are there due to drug abuse, and there's a chance they can go and relapse with the money you give them, which is also true. They'll get more use out of food, to be clear. What about a scenario like a guy goes and buys a hobo some cigs out of empathy, like he's been in that situation before and he understands that one cig could have a huge impact on the hobo? That would still technically be self-serving because he's still trying to like appease to that person to get some sort of self-satisfaction out of it, right? Like at the end of the day, he's going to feel good about himself for giving that cigarette to a hobo. Roundabout to my point, not all homeless people are there to drugs. Yeah, no one was in contention to that. The most evil thing I've seen from a baby is one accidentally running into my leg once. Yeah, pretty much. I think babies come from a lack of proper parenting. Yeah, once again, you can't call something moral or immoral without knowledge of it, right? Like in chapter 1 of the Bible, right? Genesis, we talk about the knowledge of good and wrong. Adam and Eve were not considered to be naked until they knew what naked was, right? And that's when they said, oh, we're hiding our genitals because we're naked. And God said, how the fuck did you know you were naked, right? They didn't know. They had no knowledge of it, so it couldn't have been considered a sin. So yeah, that's it's really difficult to quantify whether or not babies are evil, because what the fuck is, it's a fucking baby, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Kind of got to back up on
Wait,
my
I have a
point.
question.
Yeah, what's your question?
Okay, what about a lion that eats your daughter? Would you say a lion is evil? Like, do lions know right from wrong?
No.
So
Once again, non-sentience would not have concept of morality. Anything that does not have the capability of understanding like the philosophy behind what's going on would not be able to be considered moral or immoral. Right? So if I give a dog a fucking bone and he, I don't know, doesn't eat the bone, like he's not selfishly ignoring the bone, like he just doesn't want it. He doesn't know. He doesn't know that I spent money, right? There's no concept of him like gratitude, none of that exists. Yeah, it's just the laws of the universe or nature. Right. All right, let's get back into it.
To people who need it than there ever has been in human history. That's what happens with pro-natalist policies versus anti-natalist policies.
Okay, wait. You just answer what population do you think it should stop at? So, okay, it might stop at 6 billion. What meaningfully is the difference?
Oh, I
between
think that
stopping
the
at 6 or
Earth could
7?
the Earth can easily, according to analysis, have up to 25, 30 billion people with pretty it's pretty regular ease.
Is that
within that confines of those numbers.
ideal? How is that better than what we have?
Because
what,
more
6
people
billion?
equals more work, less starvation. Less starvation for populations, more work for infrastructure building, more work for, I mean, even look at the U.S. labor force now. One of the biggest
fewer
problems.
people to cater to. This is very, very silly. The idea that everything gets better the more people are on Earth, it's just not the case. First of all, like people, the number of humans that are going to end up on the planet and like sort of plateau out at, that's not the same as our maximum carrying capacity. You don't want to hit the maximum carrying capacity for the same
We're
reason.
nowhere near it.
Yeah, I'm saying you don't want to. And the reason for that is the same reason you don't want to hit the maximum carrying capacity of an elevator or a restaurant. Maximum.
But we don't even know what the maximum carrying capacity is, but we do know we're nowhere near it. And we're also declining.
Don't understand what the issue is with these broader trends.
Well, I just explained it to you. You don't want populations in free fall collapse. You don't even have enough hands to do the work. What do you mean? You don't have that now in the United States.
The amount of work, first of all, we do. We get plenty of work done in this country. And second of all, the idea that, sure, you have less people doing work, but you also have less people for whom to do the work. Like the idea that you would be doing the same amount of labor if there were 30 billion people on Earth as you have to now with 8 billion people on Earth.
No, man. No. Labor is scalable. You need to understand labor is scalable.
So I don't
So like when you combine two people together to do
Yeah, you hit the walnut, bro. I'm telling you. It's fucking walnut.
Not the case for all things. There are plenty of things like regional economic limits or non-scalability or lacking in land area or climate change changing the available land.
Give me a type of job or occupation where that's true of.
There's not any. I don't have to provide any argument here because the premise I'm arguing against is nonsensical. Let me construct an ideology. You have to provide an idea first.
I did.
And the idea you're providing is, what if we had an ideology that made everyone have as much being a good idea? Because I don't care. Like, I'm not sold on this. I want people who are alive to be happy. I want the human species to do well. I think that the human species did pretty well at 6 billion. I'm sure it would do pretty well at 8 or 10 or whatever. But the idea of orienting all of my political beliefs around hitting some kind of maximum.
So I'll try a different angle for you then, if that's your approach. You do agree that you do want some people on planet Earth, right? At least some number of them?
Yeah, sure. I mean, I want human civilization.
What number would that be from your perspective?
I don't care. That's the thing.
Then what's the argument here? We both want people. We both want people, and if the birth rate reduces so a population collapses and there's no people, that's bad.
You have to explain to me how shifting our entire the political mindset to accommodate some arbitrary goal that you've just.
I don't think Andrew ever said that we need to reach a certain goal. He just said we shouldn't allow the birth rates to decline to a point where we're having less kids than we need to keep the equilibrium, right? Andrew's entire point in this is that, hey, we need to make sure that we're having enough kids so that way the fucking population doesn't drop to 0. And Vosh is just like, why? Why, huh? Well, why? Why not? Why? No, we definitely need to make sure that people are having kids. That's important, actually.
Just made up in front of me is necessary at all. I think that if we build,
it can't be arbitrary. If you agree, we need humanity.
If we no, the
the gap really quick.
So really quickly, I just want to ask,
So Elaine, your thing about politics staying political. The issue with that is that politics are framed by something. They're framed by some sort of morality, or some sort of. Yeah, it's framed by some sort of morality, and morals often come from religion, philosophy, something. It comes from somewhere. People don't just make up laws or rules just to make up laws or rules. They're usually framed around some aspect of life, and the thing that people turn to most is religion and philosophy. So that's why you have like a bunch of fucking laws that are like that.
I just want to put forward like the point.
And
of really good
subsequently
political-
politics.
I think that we should build good political systems that make people happy and encourage growth and economic stability and all those wonderful things. I do not think we need to orient everything about some kind of psychotic pro-natalist perspective where we try to keep women out of colleges and in the home so every single one of them has like 7 children. I don't
Alright,
think that's...
Nobody. Okay, first of all, all you're doing there is framing. I never made the argument that women must do anything. What I told you is that we have a birth rate that's in free fall. You agree that we need to at least have some humanity.
Alex is the most lame fucking moderator ever, bro. Like, he can't moderate. He just sits there and says, alright, guys, let's calm down. Let's calm down, guys, okay? We kind of...
You have to at least replace the people who are in existence. So you and I can at least agree that every human being should probably have at least one other human being to replace them, right? Or if not, there needs to be some number of humans on planet Earth. So if that's true, and you and I agree that that's true, then having a declining birth rate, that would be catastrophic for both of our worldviews.
If it levels out at 6
No,
billion...
wait, hang on, stop. I'm gonna step in for 1 second and just kind of bridge the gap a little bit. So you guys both agree that there needs to be humans on Earth, but the difference is that Bosch is saying, I don't understand why it's important for us to increase the amount of people that we have on the planet now. Andrew's saying, hey, I think that would actually be better. So that's what Bosch is asking.
The problem...
That's actually incorrect. So what I'm saying to you is that
Yes,
the amount of
Alex,
people
you're
on planet
incorrect.
Earth right
Goofball
now
ass
are
Nick.
slated to significantly decrease down to maybe half or below.
I'm actually in agreement with you, Funds, which is very rare, right? It's very rare. I think every human being should have at least 2 kids at bare minimum. I think you should have 3 to make sure that the population stays in an incline, right? But if at the very fucking least you should have 2. Mind that you should have 2 kids, but that's just not. It's not enough.
For me.
It's not enough though.
For me.
It's not enough.
For me.
I don't. It's not enough.
Everybody has to have 2.
It's not enough.
Okay,
Yeah,
well,
that's
I've
selfish
just,
ideology.
linked
So I'm
the
evil.
article over to
Half
China's
I am evil, yes.
population right here.
Very proudly.
Yeah, world
This
population.
is the projection. Now, the world population, the UN projection was at 6 billion. However, the trend is very, very quickly going the other direction. I can send you an article on this as well.
Telling as the world
So they're saying that it could be reduced to as little as 3.5 billion to 4 billion. They don't
So
know.
these are speculative numbers that don't actually tie in with like the broader consensus. Look,
Well,
the
what's
issue
not
here-
speculative though is the number of, or what the birth rate is at for the percentage of the population.
Invariably, no matter what point you hit, you will hit periods of general like population decline because it's not possible to perpetually maintain growth or stagnation. There will be waves up and down. This is inevitable. I think that what's the problem here is that this is all fake policy. There is no such thing as like global pronatalism or antinatalism. You said earlier the left does.
He's
this
not
is
that
nonsense.
old.
Let me give
In
you an
reality,
example.
How
people
long
have
ago?
children and are
How
able
long ago was this?
in line with the material circumstances they live in. Are they educated? Do they have the money?
A year
Do they
ago.
have the space in their household? Are there
He
cultural
aged a
values
lot.
that incline
He did
them
not
towards
age a
having
lot,
more
bro.
children or not?
Ooh,
These
good
are the
there.
things that we can do and
He's-
control.
he
Now,
looks
if
the
we're to have a
same.
discussion
No,
on
he's
what we should
growing.
promote, you know.
If I show you
Here's something I think we could do.
video,
okay?
he's live right
No,
now.
let me respond to these 2 points because both
What-
of them are
wait, wait,
inaccurate.
wait,
The
wait,
first
wait.
one is
Well,
the 2 points that
what
you
if we
smuggled
agree?
in.
What
The
if we
first
agree?
point that you smuggled in was
Well,
that
I'd agree.
people can
People
only
be,
have children based on
Yeah,
material
he just
Bigger
grew out his
beard.
beard. Yeah.
They have children
Look how
outside the
bigger.
scope of their material conditions all the time.
He says he's gonna shave though. He's working out so he can not have a double chin.
So this is first of all, this is patently false. Hang
Wait,
on,
you
let me
don't
finish. I
understand-
just
no, no,
let
wait,
you.
wait, you missed-
I let you give your argument. Let me give mine back.
If you're asking me if they know why China did the one-child policy, I don't know.
Those are the material conditions.
Yeah, I have no idea.
It doesn't mean if you're rich enough. It means that the circumstances that surround you give you the ability and inclination to do something. Poverty inclines people towards having lots of children. That is a material condition.
Man, okay, fine. Even if I grant this, okay, this kind of second thing which you smuggled in is that the left has no anti-natalist policy, but they do. They're by far the largest advocates of abortion everywhere on planet Earth. That's a left-wing
Politics is
socialist
tough.
policy for sure. even back to its roots, it was a socialist policy. There's no doubt that that's true. They're the ones who dropped the population bomb all over planet Earth via helicopter in order to get people to stop breeding. Yes, they have had significant anti-natalist policies. It's absurd to say otherwise.
So you're saying that giving people the choice as to whether or not they want to have children, it leads to a decrease in how many children people have?
Well, again, this is a smuggled in premise.
Is there a contention? Is that contention I hear in his voice? Yeah, if you if you tell people that they don't need to have kids, that you're gonna have less people having kids. What the fuck is the contention, Vosh?
That's not. It's not what I'm asking you.
You're not giving them the choice. You're saying you can't kill your offspring. There's
Yeah,
a
I heard
distinction
that.
to be
No, the legality of abortion is giving people the choice
dude,
to have
liar.
or to not have children. It leaves out the possibility.
I'm on camera.
No, this is your bad.
No, please,
You're making the
stop.
assumption it's
No,
not murder.
Stop complaining that literally anything that doesn't immediately like pre-pack your framing into it is some kind of biased question. Okay.
Well, then don't complain
want-
immediately that I accept your framing as being true.
I want. Oh, well, my framing.
I feel like the amount of people on Earth shouldn't matter if we found a way to properly coexist with the Earth and have a symbiotic relationship. Like getting rid of negative impacts and trading them for fostering positives. Yeah, it becomes mildly difficult. It becomes mildly difficult when you talk about symbiotic relationship with the planet. The issue is that like people use resources, right? The only way that I can see personally would be it would have to be a much more efficient form of solar energy collection. That's the only way I'm seeing us get anywhere in terms of the fucking resource crisis. What is MS Content on about? Buddy, that's not my fucking name. And I dream to one day live on the sun. Yeah.
Sorry.
Is that if people have the option to abort a fetus, that they will have less children. I think that people should want to have the children they have. So I want to build a society in which maybe people have more children, but they're amped about it. And what that means is supporting material policies, like, for example, free childcare, or better tax credits, or...
What does he mean by free childcare? What does he mean by that, though? Like okay, the use of the word free... The use of the word free doesn't make any sense to me. If you're going to be a libertarian socialist, and the idea is that no one owns anything, and you don't own any money, what's the point of having, like, what's the point of using the word free? The entailment here is that nothing costs anything. According to the sources, in 2000-something, we had 8.062 billion people. Should expand on what that entails. Do you know how hard it is to get all of them to agree on something? Yep. Pretty early, 202.
Legal mandates for corporations to provide maternity and paternity leave. Those are examples of things that socialists tend to support and will massively increase the viability of having children even in an industrialized country. That's real
And
power.
if that's true, then how come in the nations where these things are implemented, you have not seen the birth rate make a recovery, Bosch?
What's fair?
Well, I think that there's more to it than that. You
Whoa, but it can't be more to it than that if you said that those are the qualifying factors for X to... If X happens, Y happens. Okay, well then why is it that when X happens, Y doesn't happen? Oh, well, I think it's more than that. What the fuck?
So then why are you giving me policies that don't work?
What do you need me to explain to you? Funds. What do you need explained? If you don't own anything and the state doesn't own anything, who owns what? No, dude, that's literally what I was talking about when we looked up libertarian socialist. That definition doesn't make any sense because nobody owns shit. Nobody owns anything. No one has the rights to anything. No one has sole proprietary access to something. It's just a shit show. It's literally like saying, and it's an anarchical society too, so people can do whatever they want. In an anarchy, you definitely own things. So it's just a stupid ideology. Is birth rate more important, or is the happiness and potential for growth within said nation more important? Well, Elaine, that the answer to your question becomes subject to personal belief. I personally believe, this is my own opinion, I personally believe that the fate of humanity is a little bit more important than my own happiness, I would say. If I had the option to die, and it would make the world a better place guaranteed, then I would die, right? Like that's just, it boils down to what's more important. When you're talking about birth rate, right? If birth rate goes down, if birth rate goes down under 2, if it goes down under 2, then we're starting to lose people. And if we lose people, we will get to a point where it's called the point of no return, where no matter what happens, your country is going to die out in several years. And South Korea's already hit that point. In 60 years, South Korea will no longer exist.
For real?
Yes. So it becomes important when you're talking about what's more important between birth rate and happiness. I mean, it's out of necessity. The reason why people are arguing about birth rate is because it's out of necessity. It stopped being speculative when countries are starting to disappear. When you have entire cities that no longer have people in them, it stops becoming a question of should I be happy, and it begins becoming a question of what can I do to keep my community going, right? So I don't know. It really just depends on each person's individualist take. Yeah, 0.79. Remember how I said if it goes past 2, it's declining. They are making 0.79 people per household. They are past the point of no return. South Korea's done. It's over. There's nothing that can be done to bring South Korea back unless everybody in every other country, like enough people went over there and just started impregnating women. It's literally the only way, and that's such a humanitarian crisis that it would never happen. It would never happen. We would never like force women to get pregnant, but because we're not doing that, I mean, they're done. It's over. South Korea's dead. It's literally a country that will no longer exist within our lifetime. What's up?
Could a country pass a law like that would say if you don't have X amount of children, you get like a fine, death penalty, something?
Could they pass that law? Yes. Would that law hold up? It's debatable.
I mean, didn't they have something to where like if you had more than a certain number?
That was China.
But like yeah, someone in Asia.
It was China. Yeah.
Isn't that similar?
What you're talking about is different though, because you're telling people they can't do something, not that they have to do something. It's a lot easier to tell people what they can't do than what they have to do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I didn't know that about South Korea, man.
That is, yeah, it's sad.
I don't care.
They do
Give me
work.
policies that work.
They do work.
Well, okay,
However-
well then show me how they work.
Okay.
And where they work.
Wait, do you need me to explain?
I don't like to get into the topic of artificial creation because it gets to a point where we're just playing God. It gets to a point where humanity just starts playing God, right? Because at what point do you say this is inhumane? Like we should not be artificially creating people. Like at what point do we stop and say like this is not what we are intended to do, right? Like there are certain things that you just look at and you say like that's not right. Like that's not right. And one of those things is definitely like creating artificial people. Like that's not right. It's just not.
To you, how like state-subsidized daycare makes it easier for people to have kids?
Why it has not done any reversal to the birth rate in the nations which have implemented it?
Well,
None.
wait. Do you have data that demonstrates it is absolutely
Yes,
no
the birth
effect,
rate.
even though
Which
it's
nation would
passed
you like to cite? And I'll give you the birth rates and that they're on the decline. Absolutely.
What specific policies? Wait, hold on. They're on the decline. Is it possible they would be more on the decline if it wasn't for those policies?
It's
How do you know? Then how do you know?
However-
Wait.
Yeah. Because South Korea is actually also like they also have like social security, right? So think of all of the pensions that the workforce has to pay, right? Like all of the young people have to pay into social security for the older people, and the older people are 20% of their population. They literally can't afford it. Like they can't afford it. Not only are they dying out because they're dying out, but they're also like financially dying out. What are you looking for? This pink? Yep. Okay. Cool.
Thank you.
Like they're cooked too.
However,
So you
even if it
confidently say you have
even
data
if
that
it were,
demonstrates
but even if it were,
positive
they
behavior.
don't. You say that these are the policies which would reverse the trend. They don't reverse the trend.
I can give more. So
Then
a lot
give
of
more.
Sure. A lot of it also has to do with work culture, in which people are given the opportunity to have children with state mandates and subsidies and what have you. There's a huge issue of like people lose out economically on a lot by having children. A lot of this also has to do with like keeping dads in the home, right? Like if a dad takes 6 months off work, even if it's part of paternity leave, that is a rough sell economically, and it can disincentivize their future promotions. I think that we should have a culture that is much more permissive towards people not being nonstop 24/7 workaholics, because that shit kills families. Not only does it prevent people from having kids, it also fucks up the kids if they are born.
This is a
because dad's always
restatement
out of the
of the
house.
same exact claim. You're giving a material position to this, and yet in the places where you have these material positions, like France, for instance, where you have a reduction in the work week, and you do have these types of child care programs, you still see the collapse in free fall of their birth rates. This is not reversing these
Collapse-
trends
Wait, hold
whatsoever.
on. One second. France birth rate over time. You use very scary words like collapse and free fall, and I just
Yeah,
want to make
free
sure
fall.
that it looks
Look it up
like
yourself.
it looks like. Hold on one second. It looks like it's been holding roughly steady for decades.
What? Send
for
it in the
1,000
private chat.
people.
Let's take a look.
Yeah, wait, I have it shown here. So it looks like in percentage increase and decrease, there's been like a 2% aggregate decrease since. Wait, hold on. So it's in the year of our Lord. What year is this? Wait, hold on. Sorry.
Our Lord.
2000.
Bosch is not
Right,
religious.
2000. 12.7, and then right here you had down to 1. So I
So
guess
as of
it's reduced by a
2020,
couple
France
of
was at
percent.
1.83 births per woman. That's not even replacement rate, Vosh.
Mhm.
You have nothing
Well, they have.
here.
Well, okay, but what's the rate over the past few decades?
You need
Also,
to have
they
at
have
least
immigration.
you need to have at least 2.2. But even if that were true and the rate were still decreasing past your policy implementation, it hasn't reversed it. It
Wait,
hasn't done what you want it to do, man.
So wait, again, you don't seem to understand how this data works. The
Yeah,
whole
insane.
point of like inferring causality and why it's bad is that you don't know whether or not these would have been worse otherwise. So I'm looking at macrotrends.net on the France fertility rate, where it seems like back in 1978 they had 1.86 births per woman, and right now they have 1.86 births per woman. There's been about a bunch of like fluctuation, but over the past 45 years, the French birth rate has stayed basically the same. So I don't like.
You're
it when
talking
you use
about
like
a
false
negligible
free fall.
difference, right?
Like 5
right
minutes.
now,
Over 40
20
years, stability. 40 years.
in the year 2020, the United States at 1.64 birth
Well,
rate,
I thought we were
and
talking about
France is
France.
only
You just have to believe that you'll
at
get a job funds. Don't worry.
1.8. This is a negligible distinction,
Wait, we were
utilizing the
talking
same
about-
policies that you advocate for.
We were talking about France, and I just don't like you using terms like collapse and free fall when what we actually see is total stability over the past 40 years. I mean, that's
Well, you know, that's not too different from how much we get paid in minimum
It
wage
looks
here.
Exactly like, their birth rate looks exactly like ours. It has been collapsing since World War II. There's
Okay,
no
wait,
doubt
hold
that
on.
I'm looking at the data.
Okay, wait, I'm going to link you this really quickly so you can see what I'm seeing, because I feel like
Okay.
we're talking past each other a little bit.
If you want to share the
if you-
screen, to add it, I can share the screen. As well.
Here, I've just linked it. You
Well,
can,
no,
you
just
can-
put it in the private chat, and I'll get a look at it here.
There. I've linked it. I've linked it right there. And as you can see, the French birth rate has remained stable for nearly 45 years now, which is pretty significant, I feel. Unless I'm misreading this data, but it was at 1.86. per
Man, this
woman.
this guy Alex fucking has his clothes on his couch mid fucking production. This guy's got no class.
Back in 1978, and it's the same today.
Next on the collapse
So I
agenda,
guess
chill the fuck out.
stability or off
Chill the
point.
fuck out. I'm trying to get rich and be happy, bro. I'm not about that fucking collapse America shit, bro. I need America strong and healthy for me to become rich and successful, dog.
Wait, what? Wait.
This
Wait,
is
I'm looking.
still-
Wait.
This is still
This
a-
is
wait, wait,
if
wait,
all
wait.
the stars align. To be clear, you're going to
Horizontal
work
line.
for
What is your
Samsung, and that's
definition
a
of
fact.
collapse? Where's the
Yeah,
crazy.
so I'm going to send you over the counter data because this is not correct.
In the data, okay, so you're contesting the data, but in the data that I'm looking at that I just sent you, the macro trends link, you would agree that this is not a collapse, this is stability, right?
According to this particular projection, what I see is a massive free fall which happened. You would agree that that's a free fall, right?
Well, it decreased. Free fall
Yeah.
implies like a lack of stability when in fact our countries are the
Well,
most
I mean,
stable
so it
power
goes
in all
down.
human history.
Okay, so it starts at 2.8 and it goes all the way down to 1.8. That's a
Just
significant
free
collapse.
fall is like panic language. It's like woman stuff, you know.
And then it goes
Free
down
fall-
to one.
free fall-
Okay,
like,
fine,
free
fine,
fall-
whatever. The language. You don't like the language.
It's important. It's like saying like the number of horses used in public travel free fell after 1920, and it's like okay, it didn't really free fall. It decreased. But I don't like
Yeah.
because free fall implies a little bit of like catastrophic. event.
Purge the poison, then we
And
strong.
do you see
Fair
on
enough.
the line graph that you gave me where it says the word current? If you hover your mouse over there, do you see in the 2023 boxed in
Barely have
red,
any money
what
to
does
live
that
comfortably.
say?
That's true.
Minus 0.05%. Yeah.
Right, so it's still on a slight.
I don't know. I don't know about that because the job market in South Korea is like impossible. It's like actually fucking impossible because everyone is the GOAT. If everybody is the GOAT, nobody is the GOAT. That's literally like fucking Asia, bro. Like East Asia is literally like if everybody's like top 1% of the world in IQ, then everybody there is just like average. They're all average because they're all like fucking impossibly good. So it's like you can't really do anything. Here it's like if you really wanted to, you could grind. You could fucking just grind. Like i.e. I work like 60 to 80 hours a week, right? So like you could just fucking grind. And I mean like just get out there, work in the day, work in the night, stream, work out, fuck it, like you can do it. It's possible. You could just fucking build something for yourself. In South Korea it's like no. You just no, you can't. Sorry, can't do anything. Crisis, want to hear a fun fact? Sure. We'll have to continue this like fucking some other day because this is, we are like what 1/6 of the way through this. Dear Lord. And I gotta go to sleep soon. Same word, different font. Well, at least you can become something in America. In South Korea, you just can't. Around 23% of South Korea's GDP is owed to Samsung. That's fucking incredible. That's actually insane. Crisis, hop on In a Dream Barbecue. Dude, you are so fucking late. I'm going to bed. I'm going to fucking bed, bro. There's like a % chance I hop on a game right now. Thanks everyone for coming out tonight. I really appreciate it. We had some fucking fun. We criticized some people. Some people sounded very dumb. Next stream should be Monday. We're probably going to continue on with lobotomy. Limbus Company. Is there a stream tomorrow? I don't think so. I think I need to sleep. I think I worked a lot this week and I need to go to sleep. Monday there will be a stream. Wednesday and then like Friday. Next Friday we'll also stream. Yeah, we definitely gotta continue this. This is really funny. Somebody like remind me what fucking timestamp we're at, and then we'll ping the server and be like, hey, we're gonna continue the fucking Vosh Crucible debate. That's fucking funny. Hook shoe Mimi, honk shoe Mimi. I know one of those words. But yeah, guys, as usual, thanks for everyone coming out tonight. Keep moving forward and have a